Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Thursday, the 9th day of June, 2022, Thursday of the 10th week of the year. Coming to you from our parking lot here at St. Francis, which is not as crowded as it usually is. And that is because both our preschool and our elementary school, the Franciscan school, have let out for the summer. And so yesterday's reflection, unfortunately, did not happen because there was so much celebration happening as we closed the school and celebrated our great Principal Mike Watson as he ends his term as principal at the Franciscan school and moves into retirement. He will be leaving at the end of this month, and so we will do a special little reflection featuring him by the end of the month. But everything is sort of quiet now here on the campus. It's a very big difference between the rest of the year and then these summer months when there's none of the activity and the busyness of having the students, big and small, here on the campus. But we continue to journey through our liturgical year to awaiting the fulfillment again that God has planned for us at the fulfillment of time. And so on this Thursday of the 10th week of the year, we are looking at Elijah. I forgot to tell you that on Monday. Yes, or Tuesday. No, Tuesday. We are hearing the story of Elijah in the book of Kings. And basically Elijah the prophet who tries to deal with Ahab, the king of Israel, trying to make sure the people remain faithful to God and are not distracted and become a part of other religious traditions and other pagan idolatries and things like that. And so yesterday there was the great combat between the gods, the priests of Baal, the god that was chief god at that time in the area of Israel where Elijah was, and the God of Israel. And the God of Israel succeeds in this great competition between the two between the two sets of believers, and people begin to sort of realize that maybe there is something to believe in this God of Israel. Today it is basically again Elijah just trying to show himself to be a messenger of God through natural means, and it is the coming storm that Elijah helps to predict happening so that Ahab on his travels can get to where he needs to get. It's a very strange passage. We put it in as a first reading. It doesn't really say much of anything except that Elijah knows how God is going to act through the elements, through the weather, and is able to show again Ahab that God is speaking through Elijah. And so they're both trying to get out of the rain, basically, is the bottom line for the first readings. That whole idea, though, about competition for divinity or competition even for holiness is what the gospel talks about today, which is something I think that's important for us to kind of look at, because we can turn belief into a competition. We can turn how we see ourselves as believers into a competition. That I am holier than you, again, the whole expression holier than thou and whatever it is. That all kind of gets in the way, but it's a part of this sort of great competition that there are elements within our church and there are communities within our church that basically think that they understand the faith the best and that they can embrace it the best and live it out the best. And basically they will show everybody else how to do it best. And those who do not do it best, are going to be condemned, or going to be chided, or going to be punished, or whatever it is, because they are not living the faith in the way that other human beings feel as though we should live the faith. And this is what's happening in the gospel today, is that Jesus is taking basically an extreme of the Pharisees and the scribes and their understanding of what it means to be a child of God, what it means to be a follower of God, what it means to be a servant of God, and taking it to those kinds of extremes that make it impossible for anybody to live the faith at all, because it is so extreme, and it is asking so much of us. It is asking way too much of us, because again, it is based upon human understandings and human limitations, which are being twisted and manipulated into thinking that they are the way of truth, the way of right, the way things have to be. Jesus says, again, in the Gospels, that the only really true measure of being a believer, of being a follower of God, of being one who serves the Lord in the best possible way is love. Is love, is forgiveness, is respect, is understanding, is care, is working towards building up rather than breaking down, uniting rather than separating, making whole what has fallen apart. We live in that way. We fulfill our mission. We fulfill our responsibility as believers in this world. We give glory to God, and we bring signs of the reign of God to light. May the Lord give you his peace.